Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Insurance Journal's Academy of Insurance's weekly webinar after show. I'm your host, George, and joining me for the after show today is the director of the Academy of Insurance, Mr. Patrick Raitt, and today's instructor. Today's class was part one of a three-part series. Who is paying for this? A three-part class on risk transfer, part one. That's the name of the class. And our instructor for today, Mr. Casey Roberts. Casey, welcome to the after show.
Thanks,
It's like your
George.
19th after show.
Always good to join the illustrious Mr. George Jack and the inimitable Patrick Raitt.
It's great to have you here. You covered a lot of ground in the class. Why is and we're thrilled that you're going to be back so soon, but why is this class, why is risk transfer? Because it seems like a fairly straightforward facet of insurance, but at least the idea of it is the general idea, but why is it a three-part class? And again, we're happy it is, but why does it take that long to teach us about risk transfer? And was this deliberate, or did you just accidentally start doing the PowerPoint and when you woke up it was 3 hours long?
It's because Casey asked for a 3-hour, three-part class.
Oh, you did?
Casey wants.
Look,
Casey gets.
that makes sense. Next question. Oh, wait.
George,
Can you answer that one? Is that really what happened, Casey?
To a significant degree, yes. And the other thing to remember is that Patrick and the Insurance Journal and the Academy of Insurance pay me on a per presentation basis. So hey.
We're going to try a new thing with this one. We're going to donate your normal remuneration to a charity in your name.
That may not be a bad idea, especially if it has anything to do with with Maui. My wife and
Right.
I have gone there for years and years and years, and we're not nearly as devastated as the folks who live there and make their living there, and our 50th state is. But it's just it just brings me back when I saw those fires yesterday. It immediately took me back to the wildfire experiences I've had in my state. And I just know that the long path back that they're going to have is going to be painful. There are going to be some great stories out of it. There are going to be some terribly sad stories out of it. And I don't pray a lot, but I'm praying for those folks as much as I can.
Yeah, it is a sad thing. On the news, I heard that people were jumping into the ocean to escape the fire, and just the Coast Guard had to rescue several.
Yeah,
had gone out, and it's such a terrible thing. And wildfires, I mean, California, we have them in Florida, Colorado, more states than people realize, but it's tough. And then you consider the fact that you're talking about an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And so all of the building materials are going to have to come from somewhere else.
No,
in order to get there.
Right.
It's just terribly sad.
Well, Casey, thanks for mentioning that. And I think you mentioned that too in the class briefly. So thank you for pointing that out. I was wondering, part of the class today was talking about the role risk transfer plays in insurance. And then you mentioned a number of different kinds of policies, CGL, things like that. Does risk transfer play the same part in any insurance policy, or does it vary from, or is risk no matter what the policy is? Or does
risk is risk is uncertainty. Right. And the risk transfer plays, in my opinion, essentially plays the same role, whether it be a property risk transfer or a liability risk transfer, et cetera. I'm getting the affirmative head nod from Patrick, and Patrick knows this topic very well as well. It's the toughest thing for most of us as agents and brokers is to delve into the contracts and find out what our insured has agreed to, because it would be great if every contract had a page or two that said, okay, the following stuff should be addressed by your insurance. Talk to your agent about it, right? But as Patrick knows, It's never that straightforward. There's a section on insurance in most contracts, but then you got to wend your way through the rest of the contract to find the other risk transfer language that has been put in there, sometimes to the detriment of our insured, especially when they don't know what they've agreed to.
Yeah, you mentioned what contracts say and what they don't say. And then you talked about negotiations. Is it hard to negotiate something that isn't in a contract? I mean, do we rely on the insureds and the insurer's knowledge of insurance to be able to fairly negotiate language that isn't in a contract, or is it, is that
Well,
super difficult?
not my line of work, I'll be honest with you. Were I to have the initials JD after my name, then yeah, I would probably get involved in the contract negotiations, but that's beyond my purview and expertise. That's that's the area of the legal system and the attorneys. Where I think we can effectuate it is when we can sit with our insurers ahead of time and say, okay, before you start signing any agreement, and I just about mean just about any agreement, send it my way so that we can take a look and see what you're agreeing to, so I can tell you what we can do insurance wise, what we can transfer to someone else, to the insurance company, and what you're going to have to find another means to handle, either your own wallet, right, or give it back to the person who's trying to transfer it to you. It's just, to me, it's about, let's be aware of what we're signing, what we're agreeing to. Now, sometimes I don't care. As an example, I was on, my wife and I went a couple years ago to Cancun over Thanksgiving, get a nice little getaway. And while we were there, we went over to the Isla de Mujeres, the island of women, which I had no problem going to. But while we were there, we rented a golf cart to get around the island, because that's primarily, if you were a tourist, you either got around on a bicycle or a golf cart, and golf cart is much easier. So I'm signing an agreement. You know what, George? Whatever it was in there, you think I read the whole dang thing? Nope. Okay. Do I think I had insurance for coverage for just about anything that happened? Nope. Didn't think that either. Okay. My plan was hope. I hope nothing went wrong, and nothing did. But I just said, look, I'm going to assume that risk. Okay. Our insureds don't think like that. I mean, people like me, like Patrick, that live in the world of insurance, and we teach about it and we live them. I'm the kind of guy that when I'm in the local grocery store, if I see some lettuce or grapes on the floor of the produce section, I pick it up because I don't want someone to slip and fall and get hurt. Now that's whack, but that's my insurance reaction. Most people don't think in those terms. I've got a friend of mine, Lori, who, she goes, I'm not signing anything. Now I know she doesn't mean it, because she's trying to live life, and when you go away, you got to sign things to what you're going to do. But you just have to be aware of what you're promising, and if you can fulfill it, or if you can transfer the fulfillment of that agreement to someone else.
So there's no declaration page in the golf cart rental?
There's a dummy. Are you sure you want to sign this page? No. And I said, yeah, I will. Plus, part of it was in Spanish, so that was really hard for me. I figured, I'm at risk anyway. What the heck?
I'll give you one of the few Spanish phrases I know verbatim, which is "que lástima," which means "what a pity," in case anything happens to you. Well, Casey, thanks for your help in any language and your insight. Really appreciate it. Part one today. Patrick, tell me, if I'm not mistaken, is this the first time that the word whack has been used colloquially in an after show, or am I wig a whack over here?
Well, I just ran this by our team statistician, who verifies every word that's said in all of our after shows, and also catalogs the percentage of possibility or probability of word usage. And I can validate that this is the first use of the word whack in my memory. So,
Wow.
I mean, that's why Casey is the Shohei Ohtani of insurance education.
Indeed, he is.
Oh, folks,
Patrick,
if they only knew what went on off camera.
Patrick, what do you think of? Well, I mean, I was going to ask you what do you think of the topic of risk transfer, but it's in every insurance iterative. Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I won't ask you what you think of the topic in general, but what do you think of today's class, part one?
I really thought that Casey brought us a great foundation for the next two classes, really. And the idea of risk transfer is central to insurance. I mean, many people in the industry would look at an insurance policy. This is a form of risk transfer. Some people call an insurance policy a form of risk financing. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really. You know, I'm paying a little bit to buy a policy so that if something bad happens, somebody else with a bigger checkbook can write checks. And that's, I mean, we've transferred the risk of loss to somebody else because we can't afford it. And so, you know, the idea that what we're dealing with is basic enough that the newest person in the insurance world can get it. The newest person, you know, anybody, anybody could understand the idea that we're transferring risk. Yet this gets so complicated and so complex that people analyze the transfer of risk in court cases and deal with them deeply in other forums. I mean, when we start talking about indemnification clauses in contracts, and you know, Casey and I, neither one of us have been to law school, unless Casey went and decided to stop because they were just too far behind him, and that's what I figured is what it was. And we're not practicing lawyers, and I don't think either one of us has any dreams of being that. But as insurance people, part of what we do is we deal with these contracts, and we deal with the insurance contract, but we also deal with the contracts that the insureds are dealing with. And sometimes that can be difficult coming at it from a company standpoint. I can tell you, I've had more than one conversation with agents that didn't go the way the agent wanted it to because there was something in a contract that our company was just not going to provide to this additional insured. You know, a lot, or you know, sometimes they'll put in wording like this. They'd like to see, you know, CG 2010 1185 edition, when we're using a much newer edition, and we're not going to try and make the newer edition do what the old edition did. And I think we're going to talk about that in particular, and additional insured endorsements more broadly as we go about this through this series.
We are indeed. And only one correction for you, Mr. Ray, just so you know. I did attended 1 year of law school.
A whole year?
Oh, completed, not only attended, but completed a whole year. And after the end of a year, I looked at my future and I said, I do not want to be a poor lawyer. I don't want to study that much more over the next 2 to 3 years. I was doing it at night, and I sure as heck didn't want to be a poor lawyer afterwards. So I said, you know what, I'm going to stick with something I know, stick with insurance. Yeah. But I love the first year because you got into criminal law, you got into torts, and you got into contracts. And contracts just attracted the heck out of me. So I'm the Alexander Pope of the legal system. The appropriate quote would be, "A little learning, 'tis a dangerous thing." That would be me. When it comes
You
to
decided it was whack.
Wicked a wicked whack. To quote, I forget their names. Never mind. Casey, what are we going to expect in part two? What do you have in store for us there?
I'm not going to tell you. I'm building suspense, man. I'm
Not
not
gonna
going to
tell
give
us.
it away. Well, come on now.
Mic drop moment.
George, I would have to look at the materials Because I prepared for today's presentation, not for 2 weeks from now. That's how I roll.
I see.
Patrick knows how this stuff. I'm a
know
deadline
how this
driven guy.
I don't remember the name of the song. I think it might have been, I don't know if it was Jump or not, but I think I remember now the rap group was Crisscross. And they said "Wigga to Wigga to Whack" was, I think that's where the quote's from.
Crisscross will make you jump.
Yeah. Wow, Patrick. With the hip hopadry dazzling us. My goodness.
Ask my pay grade, brothers.
Did the statistician feed that to you?
Yeah, I've got the statistician right off camera here feeding me data as we go.
Nice.
I'm like a baseball commentator, just picking them up as we go here.
It's seamless. It's seamless.
We need to set this insurance thing aside for just a minute. Did you see that the Orioles radio commentator got suspended for telling the truth that the Orioles stunk for a lot of years in Tampa? I mean, really.
And did it with pure statistics and nothing else, and with no vitriol nor hatred in his voice. It was part of a comment about how well they're doing this year compared to how they've done in the past. And he got suspended for a number of days.
Yeah.
Just ludicrous, and not the rapper either. Just so you know, George.
More like ludicrous speed.
Get out the way. I won't begin that quote. Ludicrous speed of Spaceballs too. Patrick's on fire. Wow, that's great.
Oh,
Listen to you.
yeah, we do what we can.
How long was the gentleman suspended for?
I think like a game before
A game?
in the next game, the fans were chanting in the stands, free, I forget his name, free George Jack, free George Jack. It was great.
Yeah,
It seems like a benign comment to make about.
it was.
It was.
It was interesting. One of our venerated announcers in San Francisco, Giants Laurus, a gentleman by the name of John Miller, who used to be an Orioles radio announcer and got let go by them because he had a tendency to talk about the club, warts and all. And now they're thinking that maybe this fellow would be on the way out as well. And San Francisco Giants fans are saying, hey, he didn't say anything wrong. We've heard a whole lot worse from our announcers when we stink. So what the hell?
I can tell from the vantage point of a Red Sox fan, they hadn't won anything for 86 years. So if they didn't need to say the team stunk for a while. So it was, if someone said it, it would have just kind of.
We find these truths to be self-evident.
Evident. Yes, absolutely. On that note, Casey, thank you so much for your help today. Really appreciate it. I know you have commitments and things, so thank you for joining us for the after show, and for all your help and insight. Ongoingly, the Academy prizes you as a member of our faculty. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Working with you guys, the two of you specifically, and working with the Academy is quite honestly an honor and a joy, and I appreciate it on a number of levels. So thank you.
Super kind. Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for coming to the after show, and also as a guest, an off-camera guest, the phantom statistician of the Academy. I looking forward to meeting that entity someday. So
that ghost says,
all right, crisscross. Everybody, thank you for your time today. Thanks for coming to the after show. Thanks for coming to the class. Remember, parts 2 and 3 are coming up. Join the Academy if you haven't already, to access those classes for the price of admission. Order the classes, email support@ijacademy.com. We can figure something out. So trust me, I know a guy. On behalf of everybody on this esteemed panel, this is George saying thanks everyone for coming to the after show, and we will see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day, everybody.